Greetings, fellow dark passengers. Tiki here,
And BlueDragonFive.
and welcome to a Thanksgiving special episode of the Kickback Cafe, the show where we kick back, relax, and talk about anything but Disney. Oh yes, oh yes. BlueDragonFive, are we going to do this voice for the whole podcast?
I don't know, I'm considering it, but
Oh
Miss
God,
Fuka
no.
enjoyed it. So I'm going to say no on that one.
Oh boy, no. Let's. Fun intro though. Fun intro. So, Blue Dragon 5. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day, at least for the next 50 minutes on the East Coast. So, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was okay.
It was okay. Right on, right on. Mine was very quiet. I just, just me and my dad and my grandparents. That's it. But it's kind of funny because I really don't feel like, obviously, we have a whole podcast devoted to Christmas in July, devoted to Christmas specials. Obviously, there's so many Christmas specials out there. There's a lot of Halloween specials. There's not very many Thanksgiving specials. Obviously, we covered the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving last year, and I won't even bring up the whole elephant in the room regarding that. Let's just put that to the side. I'm sure there's some good ones. One of them that I kind of feel strongly about that you don't like is the Friends one.
Yeah, Friends ones, Friends sometimes subjective, Sometimes it's, give subjectivity a point on the board.
Yeah,
But,
chalk it up, Steven. Chalk it up.
but it's like first pass on any show, you're a lot more favorable to it, but rewatching it, some things don't hold up. And Friends can be like that sometimes.
Friends is very much like that, actually.
Mainly, some of the stuff like I respect the fact they do something special with their Thanksgiving specials and their holiday stuff, so they don't really repeat themselves, but they do like something. They do flashbacks and stuff a lot of the time for specific occasions. You gotta appreciate that, but sometimes it's a little wonky and like some weird things happen to characters occasionally.
So it just kind of came to us like, oh my God, Dexter. That's like the quintessential Thanksgiving episode. It's very odd because Dexter, like this episode is, for my money, keep in mind, I haven't seen seasons 5 through 8, but from what I've heard of 5 through 8.
I've seen them all.
Are there any episodes in 5 through 8 that are as good as season 4 Trinity episodes?
As good as season 4, absolutely not, but
That's what I figured. So just the general consensus on Dexter, and this is kind of just going into the show, but general consensus is that Dexter season 4 was probably the strongest season.
Easily, absolutely, right? Yeah, 4 is the best. 4 is easily the best. For me, it's like 4 than 1, but as in terms of being the best seasons.
I appreciate season 2. There's some things about season 2 that don't really hold up, but I appreciate the fact that season 2, I appreciate the fact that it was more about Dexter being caught and less about him associating himself with a killer.
Yeah, but it had its speed bumps. It wasn't bad, it just had speed bumps.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's what we're here to talk about. Would you agree that this is a very memorable Thanksgiving episode and also just a very twisted and memorable episode of Dexter in general? It's kind of the best of both worlds.
It's the most twisted in the best of ways of a Thanksgiving special. I mean, Family Guy nowadays, they have terrible Thanksgiving specials. They're twisted, but not in a good way at all. Dexter, absolutely fantastically twisted for a Thanksgiving special. The darkest Thanksgiving you'll absolutely love.
But you know what? What's great about this episode, why I respect it so much and why it holds up on a rewatch so well, is that, yeah, it's got the dark, twisted stuff going on with the Mitchells, but oh my God, there's like such a heart-tugging element to it with the stuff with Rita and the kids. And
oh yeah,
there's some stuff that doesn't really hold up that well. Like, for example, I don't like Quinn and the reporter. I'm like, that was just something where it's like jumping into it the first time I'd seen the season in years. It's like I didn't even remember that reporter chick. Maybe you can help me out with that.
Well, the revelation was at the end. That's pretty much
obviously the revelation. Yeah, I kind of got caught up.
Basically, as great as season 4 is, she really just kind of was important with the revelation element. Really, she was just there beforehand.
Exactly.
I mean, she helped out with the case a little bit, but really it was just like the idea she was dating Quinn, and that was about it until she became important.
And the one real black mark I have with this episode is that every fucking time I see Elliot, I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, and Elliot was another thing, but he was kind of he builds this. I'm trying to remember what it was exactly, but essentially he there are many times through the Dexter. You haven't seen it up to this point. They usually do stuff like this in season 7. Also, it's like where there will be an obstacle for Dexter. It's like an incidental obstacle where you'll have a character who's just kind of put in the show to be a kind of move the plot forward and like kind of get things into place, but basically be an annoyance for Dexter that he deals with, kind of just like gets him out of the way, and then he comes back with some sort of miniature version of vengeance, and that just is like another roadblock on Dexter's path. And this guy is like one of those. I think like he, if I'm remembering correctly, he like either defaces Dexter's house or something out of revenge for like Dexter's kind of eventually finding out what happened here. Just like
He's
like
so
calmly.
skeezy.
That's what I'm saying. It's
just the way he behaves this episode, just basically, just coming on to Rita and stuff. It's, oh God, it's just like, you know what I hate? Probably the single worst moment, not necessarily the worst, but the moment in this episode that just irritated me was when Dexter walks through the door, when he's coming back, and Elliot just gives kind of like a salute to Dexter. I'm like, fuck you, Elliot.
That was a really hilarious moment with Elliot, though. It's just kind of in the vein of kind of like a Norman, Norman and George.
Right. Oh God. So, anyways, we're kind of already doing it, but you want to kind of break down Dexter as a whole before we get into the season?
Yeah, sure. Just
this episode.
So yeah, Tiki and I are Dexter fans, as you can probably tell. Me more so because I've kind of been through the whole full thing, but
you more so, most definitely, because I kind of knew that it peaked at season 4.
And look, people. Here's the thing. Let me just kind of give you let me go through the brochures. I'll explain kind of where the seasons break down in quality. So basically, Dexter's a show. It really took you inside the mind of a killer and made you root for him, which was very impressive. And it was very interesting and fun. I mean, it was always such kind of an intelligent concept of like the scripts are very well written with like Dexter's inner monologues and how it was kind of like our serial killer kind of learning and kind of becoming more human as the series went on. It basically establishes this simple premise. It has this kind of stuff I really like in movies, like Catch Me If You Can. It's kind of something like that. Basically, you establish these rules and like a way of doing things, then it kind of evolves over time. Where it's basically a simple premise of you see Dexter's modus operandi. Dexter suffered trauma when he was very young, very blood related, hence the obsession and the blood spatter.
Oh boy.
Because of that trauma, that led to that urge to kill and kind of that little flicker of a serial killer inside his psyche. That Harry, the police officer that took him in and raised him along with his sister Deborah, along with his stepsister Deborah, the kind of adopted sister. Harry helped him direct his urge to kill at a young age before he actually killed anyone. He's more like kind of like any serial killer, killing animals and such in the early stages. Helped him direct that urge to kill into something more positive. Killing 100% guilty bad guys. So not just like this guy's a bad guy, he deserves it. No, he has to make 100% certain of the guilt. Kill him and still serving his own dark passenger at the same time. So that urge to kill is still being satiated. Yeah, he's killing bad guys, not killing any innocent people, which is good, but, still kind of dark. So, you establish this modus operandi with Dexter, so it's like, right from the first season, it just gives you that air of familiarity of like, okay, I can get behind this premise. It's like a really fun procedural. Like, he's killing these really terrible people, and I get a sense that's why people of advancing years really love this show. It's like, that's why people of advancing years love crime dramas, because they love just bad people getting justice.
Oh God, yes.
I mean, that's a big demographic. That's a big demographic for Dexter, believe it or not. People of advancing years love Dexter because they love that sense of justice, even though it's a little twisted.
The pilot is just one of the better pilots that I can think of.
I know.
To me, it's like the Dexter pilot and the Breaking Bad pilot and the Lost pilot. Oh, yeah. And I know you're not into Lost, and that's a whole other thing. But
yeah, when I think good TV pilots, I do kind of think of Dexter and Breaking Bad. Just in terms of quality.
And I do think that Dexter and Breaking Bad are a step above Lost. I think I have Lost up there on my list just for nostalgia purposes. But
and again, Michael C. Hall is kind of the driving force of the series with these great monologues and just these internal explorations into his killer with a heart of gold portrayal of Dexter, essentially. You know, he's a killer, but he's got a heart of gold. You know, he's learning. Again, the whole premise of the show is it's the serial killer becoming human over time. It's a fascinating progression of a guy who's like, he's not really a bad guy. He just like, he doesn't understand human emotions, but that's the scary yet really interesting thing, is that he knows how to mimic human emotions. So to the surface, to every average Joe walking the street, it looks like, oh, that's a really happy guy walking down the street. Really, he doesn't know what happiness is until, you know, it's why he's dating Rita, because, you know, it's normal for a guy to, you know, meet a girl and such. You just gotta, you know, have that facade of normalcy where he's just like keeping her to the side, and then eventually over time he kind of falls in love with the idea of, you know, having a family and everything. So friends, family, kids. He kind of falls in love with that idea over time. Again, developing emotions until he eventually kind of, you know, has a child himself, and, you know, falls head over heels in love. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's along this route Dexter goes through this 8th season series. While he's, you know, making a family, friends, kids, of course, he's also facing many other formidable serial killers along the way, kind of facing his own demons in many ways, like him without a code. That's the idea.
And this is kind of where the series really got its stride. Was
these season-long arcs with these villains.
Right.
And each killer, you got to give him points. So each killer was really interesting. And the breakdown of the seasons in qualities. Okay, 1 through 4 are the strongest elements of Dexter. Yes, in that 4 is the high point of Dexter. 4 is just absolutely a marvelous season. Again, the reporter character didn't really get important until this episode onward, but regardless, strong season. Then 1 I think is very solid, again, kind of in the vein of like the pilot's really strong, just hooks you on the premise. And, you know, 1's pretty solid without anything really muddying up the mix, and it's a compelling story with the villain of that season, because I just love in the pilot is that we see how Dexter operates, and then of course the ending reveals there's a character that's challenging everything he knows. It's a lot like what Batman's done with Court of Owls, in terms of, like, you know, we see our character operating and knowing the city, like knowing everything like the back of his hand, and something enters the mix and just challenges everything he knows. It's really interesting. Mm-hmm. That's 1. Of course, 2 is kind of the Dexter under the gun season where he's being pursued, and
which honestly I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that they, like, we have a season within the early run of the show where it's not really all about the main antagonist. And really the main antagonist, if you want to break it down to, was it Lila? Is that her name?
Well, I mean, look, that with season 2, there are these 2 characters that just have been, one of them set up in the first season, that really just, they muddied up the season. It's
Are you talking about Dokes?
Yeah, Dokes and Lila.
I love Dokes. Shut up.
Well, I have issues with Dokes. I have a lot of issues with Dokes. Let's just say
really?
Yeah, I want
to. Fucking Dokes.
I like elements of Dokes, but
we never talked about Dokes. Dokes is one of my favorite characters, and I was so bummed when they killed him.
I was not in the slightest, and we're just going to spoil
the fact that he meets
an end. But
surprise, motherfucker!
That's the problem. Don't get me wrong. I like moments like that. I like kind of these elements of. I love how my comparison for him, he was like modern day uncensored Mr. T. And I like that element of Dokes. You know, he just like the catchphrase, and he was kind of the tough guy, and that was fine. But he wasn't really, aside from the catchphrase and the coolness, he wasn't likable. he was always kind of a prick, and, you know, it's like, it wasn't a likable prick. He was just like, what? This guy just won't ease up. And he just,
I hear you.
It's like he alienated everyone around him. I had no sympathy. Like, there was no choice, and I was on Dexter's side the whole season 2 of, like, yeah, he absolutely has no. He brings up the point of, well, that he really has no family. He pushes everyone away. No one really misses him. So he's kind of in a position where no one, you know, it'd be fine to throw this guy under the bus.
Well, maybe I'm just nostalgic for Dope because of the whole surprise motherfucker thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, of course, Lila was kind of the big downer of season 2. She was essentially the, I'm trying to remember we might have had like a few killers, because the idea of 2 is like Dexter was a little off his game after the events of season 1, which was very interesting. And I'm trying to remember if there was like an exact antagonist, like a placeholder antagonist.
Honestly, I think the antagonist of the show of season 2 is just the threat of Dexter being caught.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting where Dexter is kind of the antagonist of 2 in many ways.
Right.
But also, it was kind of the thing where Dexter was the main one that had like kind of like a placeholder, like a quote unquote main antagonist, where it was like one of the killers of Dexter's mother. It was like finding out who killed his mother in season 2.
The Skinner guy?
No, that's 3.
Oh, that's right. That guy was so unmemorable to me.
Yeah, I love that they introduced a guy who's on air right now, David Ramses. He was Deborah's boyfriend who was a victim of the Skinners in 3. He was good.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, though, it's that Dexter was the main antagonist for all intents and purposes, but also 2 was like finding who killed his mother, and like had a few antagonists in that route. But mainly Dexter was the overarching foe. And of course, like Dokes was served the role of kind of the Hank Schrader type pursuit.
But that's what I loved about Dokes. He was Hank Schrader if Hank Schrader was fucking Mr. T.
Modern day Scarface Mr. T, essentially. That's what he was. So just put Mr. T and Scarface in the modern day, and that's Dokes. But I'm saying, aside from the coolness factor, could you really say Dokes was a good character? Like he was a character you could root for?
I don't think you were supposed to root for him, though.
They played it off as like we were supposed to like care about Dexter having the choice to kill him or not. And that was the case.
I do think it's a little bit ambiguous though, because like you said, one of the strong points of the show is the whole code thing, and Dokes technically doesn't break the code.
Yeah, like I'll tell you, because he did kill people, of course, and he's on the path of a killer, so it was in an interesting area with that. But I'll tell you the main thing though with Dokes, so the reason I kind of am more harsh on him is that from the first season they had a plot line is really instantly like I should have got behind this given my love of good cop characters. And I'll tell you what it really was, and it's that the first story with Dokes was that I believe it was like through episodes like 1 through 3, or it was like mainly like 2, 3, and however long they dragged it on for. It was that Dokes was accused by other cops, or at least the rumor was he slept with another cop's wife. And they turned on him. It was like a whole corruption, or like abandon the guy because he's a bad cop sort of thing. Right, of course, the revelation was that he didn't sleep with the guy's wife or something like that. It was really weak sauce to me. I was like, I don't really care about this at all. And it's like basically Dokes kind of dropped the ball early on for me, so it was really hard for me.
That's the thing with this show, is that I feel like this show has always had like weak sauce sort of soap opera story.
Yeah, speaking of which, that brings
the show always does, and it's a weakness that it never got over. Yeah. Best seasons.
Now let me mention this with that. I'm glad you brought that up. So here's my other thing with Dexter I want to get out of the way. It's kind of something else about Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad much more impressive than the way Dexter did it. It's that there's always like in many shows, even the best of shows like Breaking Bad, you have kind of a roller coaster of character loves. So it's like characters that will like strike your fancy in the beginning, and then they'll dip in quality, then raise up again. Dexter had a lot of that, but Breaking Bad was more steady with that. So like Breaking Bad,
I think it was more intentional.
Well, I don't know. It might be up for debate when we look into that more down the line. But
well, I mean, I'm saying I think it was more like like Skyler was always supposed to have that arc of going from. She almost kind of had her own sort of mini Breaking Bad arc, of going from the worried housewife to Carmela Soprano.
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of dragged on and all that stuff, but...
It dragged on, but I feel like when she did get interesting, she got really interesting.
Yeah, but when she was really fine, then when she was intended not to be good, she was really intended not to be good.
Fair enough.
But I mean, for characters like in Dexter, mainly again, Dokes was one of the ones just kind of from the get-go, aside from his cool lines and his cool Mr. T attitude, dipped in quality for the whole thing for his case. But I mean, LaGuerta was the biggest example of this for me. Like it was few characters with Dexter, mainly LaGuerta and Quinn were the big ones for me. LaGuerta in the beginning, she was really mean to Deborah. I guess not to like her, and like I forget what we felt about her in 2. It's been a while, folks. Sorry, but 3 and 4, she rose on quality. 4, she's good. 5, it was a little cheesy, but okay, and then 6 onward, then it dipped until whatever happened to her. And then of course Quinn was a big one though. Quinn, I forget if he was he introduced in 3 or was it just 4? I'm trying to remember when he was introduced.
I want to say it was 4.
Yeah, because I know what leads with
The thing I
Quinn.
remember about Quinn is that he just all of a sudden showed up in between seasons.
Yeah, it's like I'm just trying to think if he was in 3. And actually, no, he wasn't in 3. He was 4. 4 was his introduction. So yeah, 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember. I didn't like Quinn in 4. But then I didn't like him in. I'm trying to remember when I liked him. That's the thing, because I eventually I liked him towards the end. I remember I liked Quinn towards the end. Is in the beginning I didn't like him because they played him off as they kind of a similar thing with Dokes. They played the corrupt cop angle, and it's just like Dexter can't see the thing. Is, it's another one of those little obstacles Dexter has to go through when he's in the midst of tracking a killer. Dexter caught Quinn taking money, doing a very corrupt action. Quinn's trying to butter him up, and that was just like killed time. It's like, come on, it's a little forced.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then just like 4, Quinn was intended to be the obstacle, and then 5, he was just like really. He was in the same Dokes position actually. 4 and 5. 5, he was going after Dexter. He hired RoboCop to find Dexter, since he hired Peter Weller to. Peter Weller had a character of Dexter, and he was the private investigator who extorted people. Then just like onward, then like season 7 and 8, he was great. So I mean, Quinn balanced out. Of course, Quinn also was in Dark Knight Rises too. Remember, he was the bridge guy. Remember, he was the one that says, "Detective, don't cross the bridge."
Sure, because I really want to remember Dark Knight Rises.
All right, fine. But those are the 2 main examples of kind of characters dipping in quality. But it's.
Angel Batista is a character that I like a lot more.
Yeah, he's always
because of his role in Gotham.
He's always been good.
Me and my ex-girlfriend literally set up a Facebook page called Angel Batista Sucks. So yeah.
That's mean.
But Malia, I didn't like the LaGuerta stuff. I think
you know what that is? I think it's mainly season 5 when he was in that the cutesy territory, which is.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't know. Masuka was always good. I just think Masuka kind of had an uneven amount of screen time throughout the seasons.
Yeah, but Masuka, he was kind of like the comic relief character. They developed him more down the line. He actually got a season arc where he found out about his daughter.
I think this episode was a really good example of just Masuka at his high points.
Of course, I don't know if you were around to see this, Tiki, but there's this great Masuka moment where essentially, I think it's in 5. Again, 5 had moments. Again, 5 wasn't all the seasons of Dexter. The weak ones are 5 and 8, and I say that when I say weak, I mean obviously the other ones are much stronger. Like 7's a great season, so 7's a great season. 6 is.
I've been meaning to just watch 7 out of context of everything else because I don't really have time to catch up on 5 and 6.
Yeah, because this thing like 6 has a good villain idea. It's like Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son. He does a great job in it, and also Edward James Olmos, he has a role in it too. So I mean, the 6 is a really smartly written season, I think. But
I don't know. Maybe I should just catch up. I don't know.
The point is, 6 isn't bad. 7's really good as a great villain, and trying to think where I was.
Well, the reason why I'm interested in season 7. Because of what happens at the end of season 6.
Right. Certainly, yeah. I thought you were talking about 6 for a moment, but mistaken. Yeah, you're right. But
I mean, that whole dynamic is something that I really want to see play out.
It's like 8, I think, is mixed because 8 has again. I like the ending of. I like the ending of Dexter.
You like Lumberjack Dexter?
Well, I mean, I like the implications more than just kind of jackness. But I mean, I like a lot of 8, but there are elements of 8 looking critically. Yeah, it's not really that. I don't like how they kind of begin 8. That's the problem with it. 8 kind of begins a little sloppily, and then it adjusts. But point is, I think all of them are decent. Decent begin 5 and. Like all of them are decent, of course, with your high peaks there being like 4 and 1, and then 3's good. But I mean, 5 and 8.
Good. 3 has a really good villain, but I think the pacing of 3 is a little wonky.
Yeah, like again, 5 and 8 I think are passable. That's what I'm saying. 5 and 8 are passable, and 8 kind of ends on a high note. Well, not a high note, but kind of a solid note. It's a depressing end, but it's still an end.
Let me tell you exactly where I thought the show should have ended. I have 2 ending points for the show that either of them would have worked. I think the perfect ending would have been just the end of season 4, and then that's all you ever see.
No, that's too much of a cliffhanger to end on.
I don't think it's necessarily a cliffhanger because I think it brings it full circle with the whole thing with Harrison is now kind of in the position that Dexter was when he was a kid. Just experiencing this traumatic thing. Just Dexter picking up Harrison at the end of season 4. That to me felt like it was a really full circle kind of thing. Like, okay, Dexter, in spite of his best efforts, he still can't protect people from himself. The other point that I really I just love this because of the booking quality of it, but I think it's the first episode of season 5 where Dexter's just kind of on his boat and he sees the same fucking other boat that was in the first episode that he waves to in the first episode. And then in season 5, he's just like all solemn about it. I don't know. I just really like that as a bookend.
Yeah, but there's this one in 5. The way basically 5's problem is that it's kind of two competing stories that don't really gel well together, and one of them's a little rushed, and it's that the fallout of our cliffhanger for 4. It's like it doesn't get paid off well. In that it goes by too fast. That's the problem. It's like kind of the Dexter's response to it. It goes by like one episode, which it really should have been probably dragged for a few more. Basically, if they did
that response was really good though.
I don't know. I got to rewatch this to kind of. I don't know. I might have sour memories of it.
In the bathroom stall, yeah, that was pretty intense.
I don't know. I had issues. I got to rewatch it to see if I was just like, I might be remembering it wrong. But I remember, I think whatever they did with that, they maybe should have pushed a little more for another episode. But basically, an event that happens in 6 probably should have been in 5, and just like basically extending it should have been the way they extended it. Probably should have been how they did in 6. But again, I won't go into specifics at the moment. Trying to think if there's anything else majorly I should. One more thing I really didn't like about. I think it was 3 also. I guess it was in 3 mainly. I didn't like the whole. I never liked the whole Dexter's heroin excuse. I hated the heroin excuse so much.
Oh god, that was wonky as hell.
I know, because I just think Dexter couldn't have had any rationality. He knows a guy in the drug lab or something that taught him how. Well, you can't think of that reason instead of like. He gets all the judgment calls and has to go to all the meetings, and it's stupid. I can never get like the mother-in-law's judging because you met another druggy guy. And like, come on.
Oh god.
And it makes Rita look bad too. She has a taste in bad. Now I never liked the heroin excuse. I really hated that.
I totally agree.
I saw I just never like it. It always sticks in my craw, that heroin excuse, because Dexter's smarter than that. We know he's smarter than that.
But you gotta come in and have a beer, I say.
I'll tell you one thing. I love the bachelor party reveal. I love the bachelor party reveal so much. Because Dexter has this really heartwarming reconciliation with his imagined father. And then, of course, we're ready for the big climax. And then it's just like, nope, it's Masuka.
Right.
Okay, so on to season 4, it really kind of wraps. So overall, Dexter's a good show, folks. Check it out. But let's get into season 4 specifically. Just to catch us up to where we are for this episode.
Yeah, you're going to kind of have to be our guide here because, like I said, I know the broad strokes. I just don't necessarily know the details. It's been a long time.
Well, this is it's a little bit of broad strokes overall. Just kind of catch up what's been leading up to this with our whole, importantly, our Dexter Trinity stuff. So what the big idea is for this season. So season 4, it's based around the idea of Dexter has a family now, but it's looking but he's looking for a way to have it and satiate his dark passengers. So he can still be a killer and have a family, and basically the world will be all smelling of roses and flowers. That's what he wants.
That's exactly what he wants, but that is not what he gets.
Of course not. So what he does to try to achieve this is he looks to the Trinity Killer, Arthur Mitchell, who's played by the wonderful, the talented, the incomparable John Lithgow. So he's looking at the Trinity Killer, Arthur Mitchell, as a role model in a demented way for this, because he seems to have it all together, has a family, is a community leader, he's a beloved figure in the community, and yet he's able to kill on the side. So he's thinking, before I kill this guy, I want to get to know him a little bit. I want to learn from this guy before I eventually kill him. Such a wonderfully twisted idea.
what was? I know Arthur Mitchell had the thing for the women in the bathtubs. Was that his kind of modus operandi?
Well, no, I'll tell you what he.
Killer?
I'll tell you what he did in a minute. I got it down here. Let me build to it. Though. So Dexter using right. Okay, so Dexter using the alias of Kyle Butler, he's able to get to know him.
Kyle.
So Dexter using the alias of Kyle Butler to get.
Kyle. I'm sorry, that's the last guy.
Using the alias, he gets to know and learn from Mitchell in addition to his killing method. So it's also getting to know the villain, knowing how eventually to get him, where he goes at night and stuff, like knowing like where to nab him up eventually. So he's getting to know his methods too, and his methods are the Trinity Killer kills in threes. So he kills a man with blunt force trauma. He makes a woman jump to her demise, jump to her death. And then, of course, the famous one, he slits the femoral artery in a warm bathtub, so the woman bleeds out.
Oh God! Oh God!
And that was the most important one, given his origin, which is the reason Arthur Miller is the Trinity Killer is because at age 10, he saw his sister Vera in the shower, and in, I guess, shocking response to that, she fell through the glass shower door, and she cut her femoral artery, and she bled out in front of him. And it was really traumatized to him. Again, very similar to Dexter, a blood-soaked origin story of a loved one right in front of him, dead. So she bled out in front of him, and because of this, the Trinity Killer, he kills these three people. Usually, it's like kills in threes, and he goes into hiding, but he leaves a bit of her ashes at each crime scene, a bit of his sister's ashes at each crime scene. So let's see. So also, here's what you need to know. There's a moment before this episode where Arthur almost kills himself. So the idea is the Trinity Killer comes out of retirement, he kills his three people, and he's feeling so much remorse now, he's actually contemplating suicide, tries killing himself, which Dexter is there for because he's gotten to know him as Kyle Butler. And he's almost about to kill himself before Dexter saves him nick of time, and mainly so he can do it himself, so Dexter can do the honors.
Yeah, I definitely remember that for sure, and that was all obviously a huge mistake.
Yes, and again, he wants to learn from him and also be able to kill him himself. Because, like, come on, I put in all this time, all this effort, he offs himself? Come on.
Yeah.
But, here are the other plot lines that are just kind of important to the episode, I guess. Agent Lundy, do you remember Agent Lundy at all?
Oh, God, was he in season 2?
Yeah, 2 onward. But yeah, it was in 2, mainly, because he was the guy tracking down Dexter. He's looking for the
okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Sure.
So essentially, Agent Lundy, I believe he's FBI related, basically the FBI contact who was also a friend of Harry's, Harry Morgan, their father. Oddly enough, it was a weird thing, but I mean, it played off. It was Agent Lundy was Deborah's mentor and also boyfriend. So twisted.
Oh, I remember that. Oh God. Oh God.
Yep.
Bit of an age gap there, Deborah. Bit of an age gap.
Bit of an age gap. She had a lot of boyfriends through the course of this series. Yes, and many of them twisted, with the exception of David Ramsey's, that were all twisted in some way.
Was Quinn really that twisted?
Oh, I'm sorry. Fair enough. I forget. Well, that's in Quinn was more on and off again than a boyfriend, but at the core, Quinn actually loved Deborah. That was the idea. Quinn always loved Deborah, which is kind of sweet. Anyway, so again, Agent Lundy, Deborah's mentor and then boyfriend, was tracking the Trinity Killer. It was kind of his hero case over the years. Again, when Trinity goes into hiding, so he always kind of loses the trail. So that's why he's there in Miami. Anyway, so Lundy is killed right in front of Deborah. Like he's shot, and so is she, but she lived through hers. So they were shot by someone who was not the Trinity Killer, as we found out in the little prologue thing. The killer was too short to be the Trinity Killer. So who is it? Right. Quinn is dating a reporter, Christine Hill, who is looking into the Trinity case also. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Also, LaGuerta and Batista at this time are secretly dating.
But we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
I like them together, but I always hated the fallout of them, like kind of going back and forth on it. I never.
Yeah, that was the thing. They are adorable together. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Except I'll tell you one thing. There's this one line in season 5 by LaGuerta. I just like, I'm liking them together, and I like the likable LaGuerta. But she just has this one line. It's the cheesiest thing I've ever heard. Like, oh my God, it's the most forced lovey-dovey thing I've ever heard. She says. Again, this is like, I believe, I want to say it's a direct response to the murder of Rita. It's like them saying, "Oh, what a horrible thing to happen with Harrison." Basically, like kids having kids in the world. Oh, how can we ever bring kids into the world when something like this happens to poor Harrison?
Oh God!
Like, oh my God!
It's so on the news.
You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's something along the lines of like, oh, can you imagine raising children in a world where something like that can happen to a poor kid like Harrison? This is the sappiest thing I've ever heard. Like, oh my God, that one could have used another pass. I'm sorry. Okay, anyway,
But you know what? As much as I make fun of Angel and LaGuerta, I do think that the whole scene this episode where they're confessing their love to each other is fucking adorable.
It is. We're not going to spend too much time on that, but with that said,
I love Maria Magueta.
It is sweet. Again, it was nice when they were together. It's when they were apart, that's when things get a little tedious.
Yeah.
So let's see. So let's just recap the plot for this real quick. I'll give you some bullet points. It's a lot of bullet points. I'm going to get through them as quickly as I can. So it's Thanksgiving. Dexter's looking forward to carving the turkey, which is a hilarious runner through the episode I really loved. He's like tough talking the turkey as he's planning like being friendly. Basically as if he has a guy strapped on the table talking to the turkey. It's pretty hilarious. He's been watching Arthur's family for information as he's been doing before, just seeing if he can just kind of crack the code on Arthur Mitchell, see how he kind of has it all tied neatly together. He notices him abusing his son Jonah, who also, by the way, comes back seasons away, given the aftermath of this episode.
Can you kind of do some spoilery stuff on that? Because I'm just kind of curious how that ties together.
Well, there was a big missed opportunity with this. There really was. See, there in season 8, I think there was a kid that Dexter was kind of made. For all intents and purposes, Dexter took a kid under his wing to try to teach him to be a serial killer.
What?
I told you eight's hit.
Seriously?
I told you eight's a mixed bag. I told you.
Oh dear God! Oh man.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, it plays a lot better than I'm saying, but it didn't last long. Let's just say that much. Point is,
it's like the Rocky 5 of Dexter seasons.
Again, it's not the whole season. It's like for a few episodes. That's the thing. It didn't go on long. But again, it's missed. I'll tell you why it's a missed opportunity. Here's the thing. So there was a random kid in season 8 that he was told to take under his wing, teach him Harry's code and such, and that of course didn't pan out well. But in a season, I want to say it was, I don't know if it was 8 or if it was 7, but they also had. It must have been 7 because they can't repeat the same plot line twice in the same season. That's ridiculous. I'm guessing it's 6 or 7 where Jonah comes back into the mix. I don't know when the season was. It might have been 5 through 7. Point is, Jonah.
I know he was in 5 a little bit.
Thing is, Jonah somehow contacts Dexter, and basically Dexter, it must have been 5 then. Basically, he only has 1 appearance. So that must have been it then. Point is, Jonah... We cut back and we see Jonah kind of became more of his father than he would have hoped, and he killed his family.
Oh.
And what I would have loved, in retrospect, wouldn't this have been more interesting? Doesn't this sound more interesting to you that Dexter trains Jonah? If they're going to do that, thing. If Dexter kind of took Jonah under his wing because he was in a position where he could have killed him, and Jonah was begging for death, and Dexter decided not to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wouldn't have been interesting if they did that plot line I just mentioned in season 8, but with Jonah instead of a random kid.
That would be so much better.
That's what I'm saying. That to me is just such a missed opportunity because he left him alive, and it's that. I don't know.
All right. Anyways.
Spoilers. We're focusing on Jonah now. So again, the show has some missteps along the 8 seasons. But Arthur's been abusing Jonah really brutally. He didn't see him physically abusing, but like emotionally, like hits him with a sledgehammer. He's breaking all. Oh, you're not playing baseball anymore. Destroys all his trophies, and it's really harsh.
He's physically abusive in a subtle kind of way too.
Yeah, I mean, he gets really physically abusive later on. I'm saying initially, Dexter doesn't see that. So basically, Dexter as Kyle Butler reaches out to the Jonah after Jonah's just out of frustration, damaging the beloved car. I want to say it's I don't know. I'm not really a car guy. I'm
not either. I don't drive. So
I want to say I like how Mustang looks, so I know the name, but I don't know if this one's a Mustang or not. I'm just going off my memory for it, folks. I'm sorry. I remember it was a blue and white car. Point is, after damaging the beloved car, Arthur's prized car, Dexter promises to come to dinner to basically put Arthur on his best behavior, as Jonah confides in him that he's an abusive monster and all that stuff, saying, well, look, Yeah, the minute he finds out about this, I'm dead meat. Well, why don't you come to dinner and he'll be on his best behavior so he won't, do it with witnesses around. Which means Dexter's in a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving situation where he has to attend 2 Thanksgiving dinners.
Oh my God, you're totally right. Wow.
Essentially, the Mitchells are kind of the peppermint patty.
Is Masuka the Franklin?
I don't know. I'm trying to think who would actually be the Franklin. I don't know. I don't know. Would it be? Is it the neighbor or is it Masuka? And again, Masuka's invited, so he might actually be the Franklin. I don't know. Anyway, it'd be
great if Masuka had to sit at the kids' table for some reason. Then he'd really be the Franklin.
That would be hilarious. But they would. They would. As there's a great line in the episode, they never let him near the children.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Good point.
Yep. Anyway, let's see. So basically,
what if they seclude him to like a TV tray on the couch?
That'd be hysterical. Anyway, so basically he's in kind of a peanut style Thanksgiving situation, 2 Thanksgiving dinners where he's basically he's going to be at the.
I better make some popcorn and candy for the first Thanksgiving.
So basically, he'll be at Arthur's he'll be at Arthur's at 1, and his family's at 4. Which, of course, they're gonna have to wait longer to eat for him, or they're gonna eat before him. It's still not an ideal option. Point is, meanwhile, at the police station. So, because of a DNA sweep, Dexter has kind of led the trail for these guys. It's led to a lot of criminals being caught, a cornucopia of cases, as has been referred to by Dexter. The cornucopia. Thanksgiving, get it?
I can't think of the word cornucopia now without thinking of the Hunger Games. I'm sorry.
No, cornucopia, a little horn-looking thing with all the food in it.
I know what it is, but the Hunger Games, it's got the Hunger Games is like where all the weapons are, and so that's where all the kids go to first, and it's like a massacre every Hunger Games.
Whenever I hear the word cornucopia, I can never just scrub away the Ron Stoppable saying it's a cornucopia of disturbing concepts. I can never not hear that in the back of my mind when someone just says cornucopia.
It's a lot more pleasant than the Hunger Games version, so yes. I take that.
Anyway, so because of a DNA sweep, Dexter orchestrated. So I don't know how they just mentioned the DNA sweep. I forget what prefaced it exactly because again, it's been a while. I just jumped into this one really, but the point is, a DNA sweep is baited so people are occupied during the holidays, so Dexter doesn't worry about kind of covering Trinity's trail while he, stalking him and about to kill him. So they'll buy him the weekend to get to know Trinity, most likely kill him by the end of the weekend. I guess that was the initial plan. I believe so. So this also gives Batista basically evidence on a lot of criminals, which is really interesting when you think about it. So Dexter, again, is helping the grand scheme. A lot of murderers are being caught while he's kind of dealing with this one guy.
Right.
And, this also gives Batista the murder of an old case, so, is bringing closure to another guy and to a man whose wife's been killed. So he and LaGuardia have a really emotional story, basically giving closure to this one guy.
Which was nice. Like, it was a nice scene. It just kind of felt out of place with the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it was good, but, a lot going on in the episode.
Right.
Anyway, so let's see. After DNA, so Dexter tries convincing Deborah to take the holiday off, so to get her off the scent. Again, that's the main cause, because she's dead set on finding the Trinity Killer after what happened to her and Lundy.
He has an enormously devious way of doing it.
Oh yeah. There's this really hilarious thing. So basically, thanks to to a sad video from the kids saying, "Aunt Deborah, please come to Thanksgiving," and then
is on his A game of being a
He is. And it's just
I'm thankful for Dexter.
Don't you say that moment, Tiki. It's gonna break me. It's the cutest thing. Anyway, so basically, Dexter thanks to the kids' video, which by the way is Astor holding baby Harrison, which is priceless. And it's basically they convinced Deborah, who's like said, no, I'm working. Oh, I gotta go now. So now she's convinced, but she brings Masuka just for backup.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Quinn's spending time with spending Thanksgiving with Christine.
And this is the part of the episode that I kind of wish just wasn't there.
Yeah, I really couldn't give two craps about it, but
I don't want labels. Boyfriend. Lou says we have to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and if we spend the holidays together, then that's serious and blah, 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 relationship bullshit.
And again, Quinn, season 4, good season, except for literally these two characters, really the only kind of sticking points with 4, really, when you think about it. It's these two characters.
And Quinn did improve over time.
He did. And this character got interesting Christine, and got interesting at the end of this episode, so. Anyway, so let's see. So Elliot, I love this. This is kind of like the Norman George moment. Elliot is with Dexter's beloved turkey and his family while he's away.
I want to fucking punch this guy in the face the whole time.
I just thought it was most hilarious, like the whole, oh yes, George. It was like the most hilarious moment where Elliot, at the beginning, so you see Dexter like lovingly waiting to carve this turkey as he loves carving people, just like lovingly just like waiting to carve. When do I get?
You have one more day.
Yes, one more day. And then one scene, Dexter walks in. I think it's the perfect symbolism of it. He's manhandling Dexter's turkey. Like, oh, you.
That is good symbolism.
I know they never would have done it, but it would have been hilarious if it was just like Dexter, like one of those brief killing flashes like he's had through the series of just like like imagining like killing Ellie in a brutal way because he touched the turkey.
Oh, I think that would be fucking awesome. That's opportunity.
That's the thing. I mean, they've done it with other kids. Like he just like imagines killing people, or like he just like has that hallucination like moment.
And it cuts back to him, and he's like, "Well, that's not gonna work."
He literally has that moment, literally. Okay, anyway, so let's see. So then back with our main story here. Kyle joins the Mitchells for Thanksgiving. It's just in a nutshell, it's very tense. Arthur keeps his cool even when Jonah brings home the damaged car, and raises an eyebrow. Man, he's taking this very well. Dexter sees cracks in the foundation, however, when he gets a glimpse of the desperate and terrified town. You feel really bad for these people. You really do. I mean, we see Dexter notices locks on his daughter Rebecca's room, and like he's locking his daughter in that bedroom, and also like she's so desperate she's willing to like sleep with. She's a 15-year-old girl willing to sleep her way into Dexter just to get out of that house. It's terrifying. It's like she's that desperate.
And then her mother knows about this, and it's just like regular behavior for her, and she's like, the mother's convinced that Dexter's in like a relationship with the daughter.
Yeah, again, she's like, she just doesn't care whatever the answer is. It's like, just don't tell him. Just don't tell her.
Right.
It's like, oh my god, it's like the most horrifying thing you've ever seen.
It's such a good wind up. It's such a good build because it's like Lithgow plays it so well because it's like it's halfway between like you want to believe that he's genuinely just like, oh, all right, he's gonna take the car in stride. But at the same time, he's not. Like, he's not. He's about to fucking go off at any minute. And it's beautiful.
Because he has this really sweet. Lithgow always had ample training being the lovable father for like Harry and the Hendersons and Third Rock from the Sun. So everyone knows John Lithgow. And this is the brilliance on Dexter's part. They were the first ones to kind of get him out of type. Of that, he's the beloved father figure. He's the fun guy. He's the goofy dad. And just... he has this great little moment of like, oh, well, they do the thing where it's not a convention of, oh, I'm peeved about this car. Like, you know what? He gets the crowbar out. Oh, my God, he's going to beat this kid's senseless. And then, no, he just does this loving thing. He's like, he's like, well, now it's drivable, so we can get it fixed. Out of convention.
That crowbar is such a good fucking mislead.
And of course, just based on my experience with psychotic monsters with crowbars, that's never a good sign. Joker and Jason Todd. Crowbar does not equal happiness.
No.
Anyway, so then of course the big kicker, like Dexter's like he's trying to get home, and then he realizes he has to stay there after. Oh my God, this is so twisted and psychotic. Just Arthur. The minute Dexter leaves the room, just like to talk to the mother, I guess, or about
this is terrifying. This scene is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's so terrifying. It's so many elements of it. Basically, they're watching football through the whole thing, and it was saying like, there's like, yeah, touchdown, and like Arthur high five is Jonah.
Right at the high five, you're kind of like, this is a sweet father-son bonding moment.
And then it takes a turn. So then Arthur like kind of like interlocks fingers with Jonah, and he doesn't let go.
Oh God!
And
God.
he's holding, and Jonah gives like a terrified look, like he's not trying to move his hand. It's not working. And then he's like looking at his father's like, no, 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 no. And then Arthur breaks a few of his fingers.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
And very
scary.
uncomfortable and very visceral.
And then, of course, Dexter walks in. Now he knows he cannot leave, or else this kid's gonna die. He has to stay because he's like taping his fingers together, like making a makeshift splint. And he's like, okay, well, I have to stay for dinner now. Meanwhile, back to the other plot. Elliot makes his move on Rita, and then Masuka sees this, and he is very uncomfortable, as we, the audience, are.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Again, I got to tell you, I want to take a moment here and say I love Julie Benz, and I love the Rita character.
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
I always felt it was always so sad, her fate. It's like, oh, poor Rita.
It's sad, but it's also incredibly poetic.
It is. But I mean, I love Rita. I don't want her to die. She was so cute and adorable since the beginning. Anyway, so let's see. Again, I loved the arc with Rita so much. I loved her in the beginning, just the idea of like how far she and Dexter progressed and how it could have gone. But and then of course the poetic ending. That was the perfect poetic ending. I mean, as much as I wish it didn't happen, it had to happen. It was so beautifully and intelligently done. Let's see. So anyway, so again, kind of our force, kind of like, oh, Elliot made a move on Rita, and Masuka's seen this.
God damn it! Like Masuka makes it bearable. You know what I mean?
He does. I always felt bad for Masuka because then he ditched the lava cakes. So like, no, not the lava cakes. No, John Favreau loves the lava cakes.
Oh God.
Seriously, from Chef, he
Just
loves.
bring them to your car, man. Just save them for yourself.
It's chocolate love in your mouth. Anyway, so again, it's uncomfortable. It's sad. Masuka sticks around because Deborah asked him to. Anyway, meanwhile, let's see.
It's
Deborah.
good though because it's like the audience, like Masuka is the conduit for the audience, and the audience obviously he's just as uncomfortable as the audience is. So it's kind of like the writers acknowledge that Elliot is being a super scumbag here.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'll never forget the best Masuka moment in Dexter. I think it's in 5, but I don't know when it was exactly. It's that. Dexter essentially he has I forget what the circumstances are, but basically there's 2 bodies that escape and then they get killed, but they escape the table and they're wrapped in plastic and everything. And then
really? Oh my God!
It has to be in 5. Then I'm 90% sure it's in 5, and then it's because the female killer that Dexter took under his wing was in that season, and then Lily Sobrieski, if I'm saying that right, Sobrieski, I think so. The point is, like, she was a character in that season, and those guys got away because of her, I believe. And then they got killed by her, and then she got out of there. And the point is, Dexter was left with the body and such, and then Masuka was there with Deborah, and then everyone in tow, and just wondering what the heck happened. Then Masuka comes in, being the masterful man of all the seedy underbellies of Miami. Being as perverted and knowledgeable as he is, he knows it's like, I don't know, it's not autoerotic asphyxiation, but it's like plastic. Basically he gives
right.
Dexter is like giving a monologue saying, thank God for Masuka and his knowledge of this sort of thing, as he's like going into, and Deborah's like, her mouth's open and like, oh my God, that's a thing. And then she buys it. They all buy it. He's like, he's so knowledgeable. Like, okay, people wrapped in plastic. Basically, I guess he's just going to like all this sexual stuff that they've been doing to each other before killing each other.
Okay, so does Dexter's voiceover kind of like fade out Masuka's dialogue? So exactly what Masuka said. That's perfect.
It's like you hear Dexter like kind of, it's like silent, but it's like you hear like he starts off.
I assume Masuka's got some pretty good like miming action going on.
Yeah, it's like starts. I guess like starts off with him going into specifics, and then it just kind of fades out a little bit, like light murmuring as Dexter talks over him, and you see like Deborah's reaction of like, oh, it's like he was giving like the reaction of first like a little horrified, and it's like, oh man, it makes sense. I mean, this has happened before. Okay, it's hilarious. I think that's the best Masuka moment ever. Anyway, so back to Deborah. So Deborah, thanks to Cody, and Cody being kind of our saving grace of this episode. I mean, he's the ultimate kid this episode. He gives a lot of plot relevant stuff, and he's really getting good stuff out of the way here. He helps Deborah get a Trinity lead. Basically, thanks to him saying like it's because of the Thanksgiving break or whatnot, it leads her to believe, oh wait, Trinity must operate during the Thanksgiving break, during the days off, so he must have an in with the school system. Anyway, then we have the scene that brings the episode up 1,000%.
Oh hell yes!
Boy, the thankful. Let's go around the table and ask and say what we're thankful for scene. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Where to start? Oh boy!
I mean, you want to talk about just Lithgow being intense and like he can go off at any minute, but you don't know exactly when he's going to go off.
I mean, there are three. I mean, don't worry, Lithgow, he's great in every single scene he is in this season. He really is. But it really boils down for him like three scenes in the. There are three scenes in season 4 where he just kind of owns everything. It's this scene, obviously. This scene might be the contender for number 1, but of course the other scene being the hello, Dexter Morgan. And of course the last one being his final scene in Dexter, which is also really good. I mean, there are a lot. He's great in every scene, though. I'm saying this is one of the
kidnapping episode, man. The episode that comes after this is like almost just as twisted as this episode.
I know, because the idea he is that kid. That's the twisted idea.
Exactly.
Anyway, so basically in this thankful for scene, they go around. You see, the wonderful thing they built with Trinity is that he's all about tradition, all about like what's a Thanksgiving tradition. Again, he is kind of a reason we're doing this episode because it's all about the tropes we know about Thanksgiving. They're turned on their head, twisted.
He literally makes holiday traditions terrifying.
He does, and again, it's on the surface, he seems okay. It's a common thing, of course. Knowing what we know about him, it is. You're just waiting for someone to get shot at the table. Yeah, metaphorically speaking, more likely to be stabbed in the case of Dexter being at the table. Anyway, so they're all going around saying what they're thankful for, and essentially no one is thankful specifically for Arthur. I say, no one said they were thankful for me. Did you, Jonah? Did you, Jonah? And Jonah says, no, I'm not. I didn't say it because I'm not thankful for you. And then the wife.
I love right then the wife cracks and she's just like, oh, I'm so thankful for you, Arthur.
And then he, I think we can only give the abbreviation for it. Then he's shut up. Let's just say see you next Tuesday. And yeah, of course, that's just kind of the instant where Dexter knows, okay, well now I can say something because obviously there's something really wrong with that. So, well, Arthur, come on now. I think it's time you leave. And then the show begins. Basically, this leads to Arthur snapping at Jonah, basically destroying all his awards again symbolically, like he destroyed his awards early in the episode. He's like throwing around his plaques. He's shattering windows. The family's panicking. They're moving into the other room. And then, of course, he does the ultimate of that. Earlier in the season, Dexter just touched Vera's urn, and then Arthur snaps. He's like, "Don't touch my sister!"
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh my god.
And you'll notice there's a great scene where I forget what it is, but I think I don't know if it's during a trophy scene or not. Early in the episode, basically he's snapping the trophies. He's polishing off Vera's urn, and Jonah sees this. So now Jonah, he grabs that thing and then throws it across the room, smashing the urn into a million pieces. Arthur snaps, runs over there. He's just strangling him and about to kill him. And the family's panicking. And then Dex says, okay, that's enough. He pulls the belt off, goes up right behind him, and he's dragging him into the other room. It's all a panic in the room. Again, Dexter had no other choice, or else he's going to kill this kid. So Dexter shows his dark passenger to Arthur, and as he's about to kill him, which is one of the best moments, Tiki, why don't you do the honors?
I should have killed you when I had the chance.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Well, I mean, you could have. Well, I was hoping you were going to go a little more uncensored.
What was the uncensored version?
I should have.
Killed you when I had the chance.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. And just the horrified, caught off guard reaction by John Lithgow of I did not see this coming at all. And then of course the family intervenes, and then we got this Dexter's really peeved in the car with Harry by his side. Just well, now you've shown him your monster, Dexter. Now we'll see you coming.
the really twisted part about the whole thing is just how quick the wife and the daughter are to go to Mitchell's side, to defend him.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's so heartbreaking. Like, Dexter could have like put this guy out of the family's misery. Just like their horrified reaction when they see the knife behind Dexter's back too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's just like they're still running to his defense, even though he could be out of their lives right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, again, one of my favorite elements of the show, James Remar's Harry is just such a great element of this show. And I love it, all the staging of the scenes where he's in the car next to Dexter, always these driving scenes, or just like always next to him. Anyway, so then the episode ends with, Dexter finally joins his family. He finally gets to cut the turkey. He wasn't able to cut Arthur, but he's able to cut the turkey, so at least he won some way. Then there's a really wonderful moment where he's just kind of pondering if everyone is what they seem to be, and then of course, at the end of the episode is revealed that Christy, I can never get it right. Christy is Trinity's daughter. Bum bum bum.
And of course, we have that really good moment where Rita or someone is like, "Oh, let's go around the table and say what we're thankful for." And Dexter's like, "No,
No. No, I love that just because of course, all the horror that just went on with the whole thankful for scene. No, we're good. I don't want this food to get I don't want this yummy food to get cold.
And then,
oh god,
I'm thankful for Dexter.
No, it's not like that. It's just like, I'm thankful for Dexter right before they're about to dig in. It's like, oh my god, he went out of his way to squeeze that in. And just the look on Dexter's face of like, my son's not going to try to throw Deborah's ashes into the wall. Yay!
Oh god.
Oh, seriously, so adorable. Again, Cody was great in this episode. And then also there was a moment where like Cody fell through the shed and like Dexter was worried about him, and he says,
"I'm sorry, I broke your shed, Dexter."
Yeah, Dexter doesn't care about the shed. He cares about this kid. Just showing you, Dexter does have fondness for these guys.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so let's talk about kind of the big center point, just kind of piggybacking off our thankful for scene. Just like, let's talk about Dexter and Trinity's arc this episode in particular, because that's the main thing of season 4.
Well, like you said, it really is kind of just like it comes to a head this episode in a great sort of way.
Yeah, it's amazing. It comes to a head like 3 times in the show. It's always compelling each time.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though. So we have the Hello Dexter Morgan thing. So Trinity knows that Dexter is not Kyle at this point?
No, he doesn't. This is before that.
Oh, okay. Hello Dexter Morgan is after that?
It's because of this he's on his trail.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
It's because of this, and I know it's like after this, it's the now I could get this one. I might be getting a little wrong, but it's either because of this he's looking for him, then of course leading the police station onward, or it's because of this and Dexter finding him yet again, interfering with him, trying to bury the kid in cement. That leads into the police station. It's one of those 2 options.
I'm pretty sure it's the second one because I know the kidnapping episode is the one after this. So
yeah, that's a thing. I don't know if it's okay. Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, because I distinctly remember marathoning this season and like the Thanksgiving episode and then the kidnapping episode and then Hello Dexter Morgan just all in a row. Oh my god!
I don't mean he instantly found him. I meant the episode he was looking for him until the end. I don't mean he just like instantly found him.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, this is just a great stretch of episodes that we've got here.
Right. So let's see, just looking at kind of what Dexter's grown in this episode in comparison to his ongoing arc with Trinity here. So it's basically, again, so Dexter's hopes in this episode are completely dashed. All those hopes that he could have a perfect family and be a killer without a negative effect on his family. It completely gets dashed in this episode, seeing how Trinity is with his family, really.
And like you said, like we've seen little bits and pieces here and there. Like, was the whole bit with the trophies the first real indication, or was there stuff before that?
Well, let me think. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with Jonah. Again, the only thing we really had, we knew Trinity was off because then he tried to strangle Dexter over touching his sister. But I don't think we really had. I'm not sure we had any indication because Dexter met the family beforehand. He had one interaction with them. Again, that's why he was in the house with the urn. So he met the family, and I don't think there was any indication things were really off with the family. So it was just Trinity.
Okay.
And again, I don't know if it was that episode exactly where they welcomed him and like, oh, thank you for stopping for killing himself, or not. Might have been like, because remember, the idea was like they went on a trip together, and they probably met him at the house or something.
Right.
Anyway, so again, with what he sees with Trinity's house here, in terms from Dexter's perspective here, it's like a perversion of what Dexter wants. It's family through force and utter darkness. Again, it's something Dexter is absolutely trying to avoid. And it's always amazing just seeing Michael C. Hall again. He's masterful at this series. Again, that's why their show is called Dexter, not something like Masuka's Hour.
Masuka's Hour. That needs to be a spinoff, and it's just Masuka running a sex-based talk show.
So next we have John Holmes.
Oh god.
Okay, anyways, let's see. So basically, they're sorry, I'm trying to think where it was here. Oh yeah, so Dexter just seeing Mike C. Hall pull this off, just how absolutely horrified he is by how monstrous Arthur is. It's really well pulled off. It's like, again, Dexter to be horrified, that takes something really scary. I mean, he's really just the
first time that we've truly seen him be horrified at the situation.
Yeah, because there's that moment where just he finds that the daughter's locked in her room, and says, "Oh my God, he locks his daughter in here."
It's such a subtle, he could have easily bypassed that. You know what I mean? It was just by chance that he happened upon that he glanced in the room and then saw the lock.
Yeah. Then of course he was looking into the room because he heard the daughter, the mother said that she was kept in her room or something. Like Dexter asked, "Is she grounded?" No, nothing like that. Dexter was looking into the room, seeing if he could find anything. True. But he didn't expect that, though. But what was more horrifying, of course, was just seeing the length she was trying to get romantically involved with Dexter, and then the mother just saying, "Well, do whatever you want, just don't tell."
Yeah, the mother was just so casual about it.
So that was Dexter saying, "Oh my God, what has he done to these people?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so again, it's just this complete perversion of what Dexter thought he wanted in this episode.
Oh yeah.
It's just Michael C. Hall's delivery of those horrifying lines. Let's see. We see Arthur. He believes in tradition. This is kind of going into his pathology a little bit here. Is that Arthur believes absolutely in tradition? He's devoted to it because we have these great moments in the episode where he believes in playing football before the game, watching the football game, all that stuff. He hates that Jonah doesn't cherish the items that he gave for him. It's
all about just throwing playing catch with a baseball instead of a football, and
it's not. Yeah, it's not. That's spring, Dexter. It's Thanksgiving. So basically, he really hates he's disgusted by the failure to observe, to preserve his family. He's. I'm sorry. What I'm getting at is it's because of his failure to observe his family. It's just not observe, preserve. Because of Trinity's failure to preserve his family, that he results in him being very forceful to preserve it. Because in the past he couldn't preserve his family because the death of his sister. Because of that, because he couldn't maintain that. That's why he's so dead set on keeping them the way they are right now, under his thumb, is making sure nothing bad happens to him by being completely unable to move outside of him. So that's the terrifying thing about Trinity. It's that all because of that event that made him who he is today, which again Dexter could slip into if he's not careful.
Right.
And again, it's all why he's all about cherishing nice things and cherishing loved ones. That's why he wants that adulation. Basically, cherish these nice things I give you. Cherish me, or you will suffer terrible things.
Oh boy.
And of course, just he's tolerant to many to a point. But again, you smash Vera's urn, and that's his breaking point. You do not want to be around that man.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's so fascinating. He's so taken aback by the Dexter reveal, just like the Dark Passenger reveal. And he uses his family as a human shield. And you'll notice he says sullied. It's such a weird, out of nowhere line, but it just feels so right. Just him saying, sullied, sullied.
Right.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Just that everything he knew is kind of just surprising. It's not like he's he's only terrified just by what he sees in Dexter's eyes right at that moment,
And then, of course, a big kind of thematic thing with not just this episode, but the whole season is the idea that Dexter had a chance to let this fucker die earlier on. And
he didn't.
Right.
He could have just acted. And again, he didn't even have to kill him. He just would have killed himself.
Yeah. Which obviously, right in this episode, the ramifications are oh my God, by leaving this guy alive, I'm further endangering this family and just kind of enabling him to continue this psychological and physical torture of this
I mean, he
family.
made his own coffin. He was ready to go. It was
Oh my
part of the
God.
plan.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
again, it's so terrifying. And what's so fascinating about the Trinity Killer here is that this Arthur, he is in many ways, again, the look in this season is that he's the perfected. The idea is he's the perfected version of Dexter, but willing to. And when I say perfected, I mean he is at looking at the dark side of Dexter here. He's the perfected version of that. He's willing to go a step beyond into the abyss. Dexter's walking the line of the darkness, hence the Dark Passenger, hence Harry's Code, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Trinity, he's more than willing to take that step beyond. He will psychologically ruin people if he has to keep things preserved in his perfect world.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So the big idea here would be, the rewatching this. I forgot how fascinating this idea was. This is really great. I forgot all because you're always encapsulated by the thankful for scene. You just kind of forget everything around that for the episode. But I was so intrigued by the ramifications of it. That really, basically, James Remar's lines following Dexter's outburst there just really hit home. It's like such a brilliant idea that Dexter rejects. He rejects and fears the idea that he is like Trinity or destined for Trinity's path. He rejects that idea entirely when Harry's kind of pointing him in the direction. Again, you got to remember Harry is kind of his Jiminy Cricket. He's his conscience. He's the memory of what his father was, but it's always in Dexter's mind. So Harry always represents the self-doubt. He's not actually Harry. And all these events of Cody crashing through the shed where he keeps the air conditioner with the slides in it, and his trunk full of his murder weapons. Harry's used excellently in this episode to prove these points. So, he points out that 18 says, "I'll never be like Trinity." Well, you say that now, but 18 years from now, you could be.
Right. Like, think of how much impact 18 years of living with you is going to cause with these people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying well, how could this have happened at Trinity? Well, that's what happens when you live with a monster. Again, Dexter's fears that he's a monster. That's all he'll ever be. And again, he fears that he'll turn himself and his family into Trinity and his family. He's terrified of that notion. Again, the most cutting line really in the episode is that he used his family as a human shield, but so did you when you first met Rita.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's the idea, and that's true. He used Rita as a cover initially, and then of course over time that changed. But it's terrifying.
And you've got to think that Arthur Mitchell probably went down a similar path.
Yeah.
Where it's over time, he first wanted a family as a shield, and then he developed true feelings, but then it just got twisted over time.
Oh yeah, and of course there's this really great line, just kind of the ominous line for the future, which is just really kind of great reflection to the season. Is that especially given the ending of the season, where Dexter attends to the shed damage. And you're just kind of looking to make sure everything's in place and all that stuff. And Harry appears and he has a little convo with Harry where he says, obviously, this is dangerous. Says, yeah, I need to seek an alternative. And then Harry points out, I thought Arthur was the alternative. I thought Trinity was the alternative, which it was. That was Dexter's only alternative. He was hoping that he could learn something from Trinity so he could maintain the dream he had without kind of endangering his family.
And obviously, with this episode, it's just that all just comes crashing down in a major way.
Yeah, all hope is gone.
Oh man.
In many respects, that's what season 5 got wrong. Is they kind of made season 4 too perfect in many ways. I think
it's hard to follow up, man. No matter how you. I mean, I love Johnny Lee Miller. I really do. He's a standout from Trainspotting and a lot of other movies.
He's great in Elementary. He plays Sherlock Holmes in Elementary.
But there's no way he was ever going to be as good as Lithgow. It's kind of like the whole situation coming up with The Good Dinosaur versus Inside Out. It's for as good as The Good Dinosaur is going to be, and could possibly be, there's almost no way it's going to be as good as Inside Out. It's almost impossible.
But I mean more so in season 5 is they kind of wrote themselves into a corner. I can't quite recall it myself. I forgot how they got over the aftermath of Rita, how they kind of repaired the family unit, because I remember it was just kind of permanent. That's how they wrote the kids out, essentially, that they moved with the grandparents, and the family's from ever that point forward damaged. And it was kind of sad. It's Dexter doesn't get his family, but he has Harrison. Really, it's still kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to follow. It's they wrote themselves into a corner, and that was the only way out.
I hear you.
Because again, it was so tightly knit a plot in season 4. Just 5 was just kind of piecing together what they.
Again, is kind of why I think it would have been an appropriate ending to the series.
I don't know. Again, I think 6 and 7. The set again, 6 and 7 are kind of the only lingering plot point, like people finding out about them. Which again, Okay, let's see. So, okay, there's a little more here. Let's see. Dexter. Oh yeah, right. So, I absolutely love the ending following that up. By the way, just, Dexter with the family, and there's the question of if he can make that happen. If they, him questioning if during like kind of the cutting of the bird finally again is his coveted bird. There's that question of if everyone is what they seem. There's this really great model, one of the great Dexter models, just saying I see a frightened wife, and again just kind of panning to the characters, and of course knowing what we've seen with them in the episodes, could she be a frightened wife or a loving one? Can I tell a frightened wife from a loving one? Can I tell a friendly neighbor, a co-worker, a son? We just see Harrison just like stuff in his mouth. And then of course, and just kind of pondering the question, which thematically ties into Dexter's arc here, is like, are they tiny bombs waiting to explode like Jonah, or like the family? Again, all this kind of neat questions. Like, people have their own stuff going on. Like Dexter, it's not unfathomable that they could have their own issues boiling under the surface, stuff Dexter doesn't know about.
Of course.
Of course, my favorite moment in the whole episode, probably, aside from all the awesome Trinity stuff, aside from that, my favorite image, at least, I love Harry toasting to Dexter, saying "Happy Thanksgiving, son." I gotta tell you, that was really heartwarming. I really love that. And then, of course, like the whole no one thankful or anything. And of course, Cody saying, "I'm thankful for Dexter," and that right there is just the validation Dexter needs. It's like the only glimmer of hope Dexter has at the end of this episode. Is like, my family, whether I understand them or not completely, it's like at least they love me, and that's a good feeling. I don't have to worry about at the moment. I don't have to worry about them turning into people are going to try to kill me or try to. People are going to try to kill me. Or I'm going to be in the position where I'm going to be strangling them over urns.
Oh God! Let's hope not.
And of course, with Trinity, last thing with the arcs here with Trinity is that my guess is that the idea with Trinity is that he's rejected this ruined facade, because now his family's just kind of completely, the one family he established, he put all his time and effort into, just kind of has turned to dust at the moment. He turns to his abandoned family, his abandoned daughter, essentially. It's like the only family he has left. The family he gave up on, like the one he just kind of uses from time to time, but just being his daughter. Now, Kirsty, of course, is engaged in she's the one that shot Deborah and killed Lundy. Yeah. So, of course, she'll be kind of the sacrificial lamb for basically she's Trinity with the conscience. That's essentially what his daughter is here. Just kind of trying to honor her father, and of course,
I really can't comment much on her because she's not that memorable.
Right. So overall, how do you think this works as a Thanksgiving special? Unless you have anything to add about Trinity.
No. I think it works incredibly well, and I would wager to say it's probably one of the best Thanksgiving specials in television history. I would go that far.
It's a very intelligent Thanksgiving special. It has all these really perplexing ideas,
I mean, it works so well just in both contexts of being just a super effective episode of Dexter, one of the most memorable episodes that we've had. And also, it's just a great standalone episode because of just all this stuff that's going on. The tension with the the Mitchells is, just palatable, and it's classic because it's like a Thanksgiving scenario, a classic Thanksgiving scenario, just sitting down, having dinner with the family, tossing the football, watching the game, and it's turned all on its head in such a gloriously twisted way.
Yeah.
But then it's also got that heartfelt stuff with Rita and with with the kids and everything else. And even Angel and LaGuardia, for as kind of like outside of the main plot as they are, even they have nice moments in this episode. So overall, it's a great blend of just like the twisted, dark sensibilities that Dexter is known for when it's at its best, and also just, heartwarming and sort of Thanksgiving, like goodwill towards men type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, it takes those tropes like, the turkey, the family, the football. It takes like Dexter slant on all of those things.
What you're thankful for.
Yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to that, And also, I didn't mean perplexing, by the way. I was thinking about that. It sounds stupid. I didn't mean perplexing. I don't know what I was getting at. Anyway, but the message is kind of in a way. It's like be thankful for. I think the subtle message is be thankful for what you have and not what you think you deserve. Thanks for. Of course, that was Trinity Killer's big mistake, thinking he deserves thanks, which obviously he doesn't. And of course, Dexter should be focusing on what he has now, because that's the big thing this season. At the beginning of that, things were imperfect. Like he's a little off his game because he has his family to worry about now. He's his new baby and kids and Rita in his life, and he's not in his apartment anymore. All that stuff during the beginning of the season. That's the idea why he was seeking out the Trinity Code. It was always such a great way to start the season off, by the way. Just him like doing the Dexter opening, but like him off his game and the whole thing.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that.
Remember? It was like
oh yes. That was, oh my God, that was
he misses the mosquito. And again, I think that's a message of this season, just based off the Thanksgiving messages, that he needs just to adapt, not try to. He needs to adapt, but not change things. He just needs to roll with it instead of just trying to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
That was Dexter's fault, which of course led to his life completely going to heck after this, and just things kind of got worse for Dexter over time. And really, this, I guess I'm trying to think what Dexter's high point in the whole series was, but really things really went downhill for Dexter Morgan as a character. Things just kind of progressively got worse for him. Like 7 was the closest thing he ever got to being happy, but a lot of it was like kind of bad stuff happening to him in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just the message. It's an interesting Thanksgiving, so it's just kind of a message of being thankful, giving it a whole new meaning, and a twisted take that makes sense for a serial killer's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's the best Thanksgiving special for a serial killer you'll ever see.
Well, I think that much is quite clear. But like I said, I think it kind of transcends even the serial killer stuff, which is why it's such a memorable episode, because it's got the serial killer stuff. It's got some insanely twisted and suspenseful moments to it.
Well, short of that,
it also has freaking Cody being like, "All I'm thankful for Dexter." It also has moments like that,
and again, like moments with Deborah too. I mean, Deborah was really sweet in the episode too, just like kind of questioning, how do you handle all of this, Rita?
Right.
Sweet moments. I mean,
it's a really good blend. I mean, like, there's a couple plot lines that are kind of like outside of the main storyline, but it's fine.
I don't know how it's going to ever compare to that moment in Bates Motel where Norm is fighting over that turkey in the supermarket with that one lady.
Oh dear God!
I'm just completely making that up, folks. I'm just joking. Like another serial killer based Thanksgiving special.
Let's chalk that up. Let's do that next year, maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm thankful for you, Mother. I'm so very thankful for you.
And Norman, instead of killing the turkey and eating it, he actually taxidermies the turkey.
Oh, turkey.
And then it's a centerpiece at the dinner.
Yes.
And they all have like Cornish game hens instead of turkey at the dinner, so it's like the little mini turkey. And it was Norma's idea, and Romero's like saying, "Wait, don't we usually have turkey?" Well, we're doing it differently, Alex. Okay.
So I think we should wrap up this episode by going around and saying what we're thankful for.
No, let's not do that. No.
All right. Fine.
I'm thankful for Dexter.
Oh, God. Kyle! I'm thankful for Kyle!